Could you do the things Brandon Staley does and still keep your job? This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los
Angeles. Live from the Ram Cave. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the September 25th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Okay, hey, this is going to be an abbreviated show because I'm not doing a follow-up to a Rams game yesterday. The Rams are playing in about 5 hours in Cincy, but I still wanted to do a recap, and I know you're so thrilled. I'm going to come back and do a bonus show tomorrow to talk about tonight's game, the good, the bad, and the wonderful, and we'll get to that then. Just looking at NFL games, I watched that Charger game. I got home from church. I watched it on record, and honestly, wow, goodness gracious. Yeah, pretty brutal. Chargers Vikings was like watching the Rams Misfit Island, right? I'm out there, I'm watching this game, and out there's Gerald Everett, Sebastian Joseph Day, Brandon Powell, Cam Akers is on the sideline, Johnny Munt, Morgan Fox, Cameron Dicker, even Benton Whitley, who was in Rams camp last year, and the head coaches, Kevin O'Connell and Brandon Staley. It was literally like the Rams Misfit Island watching that game. And yeah, it did look like a bunch of misfits. So the key to it there was surviving the win, miraculously avoiding the loss. That should have no bearing. Didn't Brandon Staley commit a fireable offense by going for it on fourth down at his own 24 late in the game, less than 2 minutes to play? The Vikings had no timeouts left. He went for it, took it out of the hands of Justin Herbert, took it out of the hands of Keenan Allen, and gave it to a backup running back. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. I just can't believe it. They are so lucky to win, but even with the win, you know you're not going anywhere, right? It's bad enough that the Chargers are Ishmael in this town, meaning they're never going to be Isaac or Jacob. They're never going to be the son of the promise. This is a Los Angeles Ram town. And then on top of that, you're going to double down with the salary that you're paying to all these guys. You're going to keep Brandon Staley as your head coach. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. And the funny thing is, they got a good GM, but I think Telesco's wrists are tied by the Spanos and their payroll. When you look at that and you think of the Chargers payroll, isn't it time to admit they whiffed on J.C. Jackson? Do you realize he was a healthy scratch yesterday? And they're paying him 17 rocks this year. And then they're going to pay him another 19.3 next year. Those are the cap hits from J.C. Jackson. Cap hits. And he was a healthy scratch. There's a real problem there, right? And another thing as we were watching this, this was the Rams Misfit Island game. Another thing we saw there was, and it's been talked about since it happened, how does Kirk Cousins not clock the ball? I don't know how he does not clock the ball. He completes that last pass to TJ Hawkinson. They get close. They're ready to make a move. They can run off probably 3 plays as opposed to just 1, 2. But they do this horrible mismanagement. And he's listening to his helmet. And it's like Kirk Cousins is a veteran NFL quarterback. He's made big money. They're still paying him $33 million, I think, this year. You know, if you're being paid that much money and you're Kirk Cousins, you don't listen to what's coming through your radio helmet at that time. At that moment, you take charge and clock the freaking ball. You know, you just do. And if your coaches don't like it, tell them to pull you, right? Tell them to pull you and go back to Kellen Mond or something, That's ridiculous, waiting for a call through your helmet as the clock's ticking, and all you got to do is go there is clock it, and you'd have over 20 seconds to run 3 plays, right? All that goodwill of Kirk Cousins on Netflix, man, poof, right? Poof. Nice guy, but brutal. And, the big talk was, both teams were 0-2 yesterday. One of them's going to be 0-3, and they're not going to probably not make the playoffs. Hey, can I just tell you, watching that game yesterday, neither team deserves to go to the playoffs, right? Neither team deserves to go to the playoffs. And you could say this about the Chargers. They may have gotten the win, and they may have Justin Herbert. They lost Mike Williams. Thank goodness they're in the AFC West with the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Otherwise, their season would be trouble. Keenan Allen was amazing yesterday. Justin Herbert was amazing. But yeah, they lost Mike Williams and Derwin James, hamstring issue. We'll find out about him later on. Watching other NFL games yesterday, I'm beginning to think maybe we should think twice about just chalking 2 automatic wins in the Rams column when it comes to the Cardinals. They've played tough this year. They don't look like a team that's tanking. And they delivered that major Gagaruski onto the Cowboys. And I love the fallout, right? I love the fallout that's happening in Cowboy land today. Hey, it is what it is. Dak Prescott's an okay quarterback. That offense is just okay. That offensive line is patchwork. The defense is good, vulnerable against the run. We talked about that. Vulnerable against the run, and James Conner made them pay. And so, nice win. And, there's like a fraternity there, right? There's a brotherliness there that's happening with the Cardinals. When you see them play, they're rallying around each other. Their head coach had that horrible, what was that, pre-practice, pre-camp, preseason speech about how did you get here? And it looked really doomed. And then they're dumping ice on him. They like this guy. And I get the feeling with all the changes that have happened in Arizona, it's not a case of it being Kyler Murray's team. I get the feeling if Kyler Murray shows up and he does any of the old Kyler Murray body language stuff, somebody's going to clock him and someone's going to bench him because the new GM and the new coach didn't choose Kyler Murray, right? So Kyler Murray is going to have to be a good soldier because I don't think this team is afraid of losing. I don't think the organization is afraid of losing. And I think they kind of like Joshua Dobbs, right? Good for him. Not overly talented, but good for him getting that win. Hey, again, looking at this sports day yesterday. Hey, props to Rob, Steeler fan in Missouri. He was unbelievably humble last night. He predicted the Steelers would win 24-17. We shared his prediction here on Friday, and the final was 23-18. I mean, that's a win. I give him full props on that. I said, Rams 30-21 losing to the 49ers. It was 30-23, but we'll figure that one out. But I'm willing to fully give props to Rob, Steeler fan in Missouri, on that. That was an interesting game. That was a real interesting game, and we're going to talk about it just a little bit as we go through the games. But the Minkah Fitzpatrick, so-called helmet-to-helmet contact, even Blandino, whoever the guy was, that's the expert calling in, said that was a ridiculous call. These things have to be reviewable. They have to be reviewable. I know they wouldn't have been reviewable in the past, but now that you're calling all this ticky-sack stuff and it's such a judgment call, it has to be reviewable. And just like the pass interference penalty needs to be the college rule with an exception of a blatant takedown for the spot of the ball foul. These things are terrible. And I think that contributed. People were saying, well, the Raiders had come and made it 23-15. There was no reason they couldn't drive the field again and make it 23-18. Well, no, I don't think they could have driven the field again. I think they were really fortunate to get that play from Minkah Fitzpatrick to make it 23-15 with the 2-point conversion. I don't know if they could have driven the length of the field again. And I don't know if they would have, how would you say? It's a real in and out. Kick the field goal, and then, you could score the touchdown and not need the 2-point conversion. But the truth was, I didn't think either way. They weren't going to score on 4th down against the Steelers, and they weren't going to drive the field they had no chance. And maybe at 23-18 with a full complement of timeouts and the 2-minute warning, maybe they had a shot. Maybe something would happen. But I didn't have a problem with McDaniels taking the points there. And I can understand if you disagree, but let's not liken McDaniels, who we're no fan of. No one's a fan of. Let's not liken McDaniels' call to go for the field goal to Brandon Staley's call to go for the first down. Okay. One was a coach's decision. The other one was someone who probably belongs back in D3. That was just a horrible job by the Charger coach yesterday, not necessarily by the Raider coach. And also, I just think the Steelers, they need to be a little more impressive. I admit, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Kool-Aid before Steeler fan Rob in Missouri was telling me to drink the Kool-Aid. I really thought the Steelers would be much better. Still expecting more out of this offense because that Raider defense is not great. The Browns defense is great, and the Steelers needed 2 defensive touchdowns to win that game. And, of course, we saw what happened to them against the 49ers. So, interesting thing to see there, but congratulations to Steeler fan Rob there. Looking around the league, Chiefs and Bears. I think bad mojo is building for the Chiefs. I do. I think they're cruising for a bruising. The presence of Taylor Swift in the box up above, and now that Taylor Swift is in all the dialogue you talk about with the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce is pitching hard, a very controversial treatment. That people that's polarizing. It just is. There's just things you shouldn't advertise. You should say, you know what, I need to stay away from that one because I think it looks kind of foolish. So you got the Taylor Swift, you got Travis Kelce kind of reaching high, and then you just got other stuff, right? Patrick Mahomes had his ankle rolled up on early in that Bear game, and we were talking about it on Friday. Get a lead and don't play Mahomes or those guys in the second half. But they played them. They're up 34-0, 7 minutes to play in the third quarter, and Mahomes is throwing a touchdown pass to Kelce. And it's like, what are they doing in the game? I don't know what it is. Maybe it is Taylor Swift. Maybe it is Kelce. Maybe it is their own confidence. But, when something's not right, something's not right. And I think the Chiefs are cruising for a bruising. Regarding Denver and Miami, if you did watch the show on Friday, I say this because I need a hit of water. It's just water. And I got a cube of ice in there. It's a tough time to say this. There are times when you know something's stone cold. Brandon Staley shouldn't be a head coach of the Chargers. Okay, you know that. There's things you just know stone cold, right? Nathaniel Hackett should not have been the head coach of the Broncos. Stone cold. The brilliance, as my friend Tim Burns and I were talking about today. Tim Burns, Ram fan up in NorCal, that Pete Carroll and Schneider and the Seahawks knew when to move off Russell Wilson. I mean, they knew it's stone cold, and it's so apparent they knew when to move off of him. And so there are times things that are stone cold, and then there are times you get a hunch, right? And you get a hunch that an underdog may pull something, right? In my days at Mid-Valley Sports, I used to make a prediction, say, I got a feeling they're going to pull something, right? That's why I took Denver and Miami. I thought they could pull something. I'll have to bury that feeling going forward because all the Broncos pulled on Sunday was just an totally embarrassing performance. And it was interesting. Someone said, and then I heard it reiterated on, I think, Coward this morning. Someone else said it. When an NFL team gives up 70 points, sometimes that's the sign of an NFL team saying, no mas, we give up. Winding down here before we get to commercial, Bart Scott, that came up on Friday. Bart Scott came up on Friday and, or was it Thursday? Whatever. It was before we did our last show. I don't know Bart Scott. I loved him as a player. I don't follow Bart Scott, because I don't watch much ESPN. But there was nothing wrong when I saw the clip of what he said about Trayvon Diggs' injury. And everyone got on his case, the two jokers on either side of him in that thing. The only thing wrong with what Bart Scott said about the Trayvon Diggs injury was where he said it. He was sandwiched on screen between 2 low testosterone, gutless males. That's who Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Clark are. That's who Ryan Clark has become. He was a really nice NFL safety. But hearing him, sometimes post-game or in between on ESPN when you have to watch ESPN because they have the Monday night game, it's insufferable. I've shared this before. There are people who scare me going down a dark alley, and there are people who I'd want in my foxhole when things get crazy. But these ESPN elites, Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Clark, Shannon Sharp, they're truly softer than their mother's love, right? These guys are soft, emotionally, spiritually, they're soft men. And of course, that makes them perfect employees for ESPN. And it's disgusting how they virtue signal their softness, especially a Stephen A., who likes to keep things real, right? Anyway, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView. And thank you so much for clicking on. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks to my sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto. I do RamView, and I write books. My book, one of my high school football novels, I've written 2. They've been well received. You can find them on Amazon. You just type in my name, as well as several other novels. I was 21 years as a sports writer, and now I do this. And I also pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com and Burbank Faith Virtual on Facebook and other places on social media. I do this, and it helps keep me employed doing that job at my church. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for those who have supported us by buying books, clicking on, leaving your likes, leaving your comments, subscribing. Thank you so much for that support. It does mean an awful lot. Thank you for those that are clicking on Spotify. Spotify, our numbers have never been great. And so we're encouraged every time we get a little momentum there. If you could check us out on Spotify and sign up there, we would be very, very grateful. Okay, let's roll into the back half of the show. As I said, I will be doing another show tomorrow to talk about the Ram game, but we wanted to get through today first. I didn't want to throw away coming on a Monday. Usually we're just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. College football. Note to Notre Dame in no particular order. Note to Notre Dame. Try 10 men on the field on the last play at your own 1 with 3 seconds remaining. You might be amazed at the results, and don't be afraid of a offsides call or someone running onto the field late and getting penalized when you're at your own 1, right? To Ohio State's Ryan Day, right? Dude, you need to chill out. Here's Ohio State, right? They're lucky to get a win here, right? And he's being interviewed. And Ryan Day, he really sounds like a guy that's on the hot seat, right? This dude is going off. He's got Happy Valley coming to town in a few weeks, right? He's got the Buckeyes going to the Big House in Michigan in a few weeks. And his team was just given this gift by Notre Dame. And all that's on this dude's mind is an 86-year-old Lou Holtz. Ryan Day sounded like a real Munson to me. And yeah, people have talked about how soft Ohio State has become because they've just been throwing the ball all over the yard. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but the truth of the matter is that they're not that Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce group that used to just pulverize people. This is a different group, and they've had success, although they haven't won a title. But just something to keep an eye on. Ryan Day, it's like, really, bro? Lou Holtz is on your mind? You got to deal with Happy Valley. You got to deal with the Big House. Yeah, think about that. Next college night was good. SC got pushed a little bit on Saturday night. I think they're so good that they just fool around too much. And I think Lincoln Riley sometimes can get a little too cute. There's just sometimes, you just need to pound the ball and stop waiting all the time for Caleb Williams to work some magic, which he's the next best thing since Patrick Mahomes. I agree. But they need to get their focus because, yeah, you got big boys coming up on the schedule real soon. And then I posted this on social media over the weekend, that poor kicker from Clemson, Jonathan White's, Clemson loses to Florida State in Death Valley. This kid plays 4 years there. He's got an extra year of eligibility, but he's never getting a kick. They never use him. He says, you know what? I'm giving it up. I'm going to start my life, right? Hey, I gave it a shot. I got to wear the uniform, but I never really had an opportunity to play here. His life has begun. He's got a great job in New York. He's starting graduate school, and then he gets the call from Dabo Sweeney, and he comes back, and it's going to be this great story. I could hear the Hollywood. Well, the writers are on strike still, right? Well, secretly, someone's writing out this treatment here for a great movie, And then the kid whiffs on a 29-yard field goal in front of thousands in Death Valley at his alma mater with millions in America like me watching. My heart, I don't know if my heart's gone out to anybody since Ernest Biner fumbled that ball after Jeremiah Castile tackled him in the AFC title game back in, well, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But that poor dude, that poor dude, broke my heart. I hope he has a great life. And finally, 5, come on. You had to see Colorado getting whipped. We saw it, right? We saw it. We're not Nostradamus. They were playing Oregon, not TCU with a new starting quarterback. They were playing Oregon and not Nebraska that has no quarterback. And they were playing Oregon and not Colorado State that got its butt kicked by Washington State. Washington State may, by the way, have the best quarterback no one knows about. They beat Oregon State this weekend. No, that's not Oregon, right? They didn't beat anybody like Oregon. They didn't play anybody like Oregon. The Ducks may be drunk on Phil Knight's money and endless uniform catastrophes, but it's still Oregon playing in Eugene with Bo Nix at quarterback. That was the easiest call of the weekend, and it's going to get a lot worse for them because they are playing USC next week. Well, it could be different, maybe in Buffalo, maybe not so bad. But and I don't know. I have no problem. I root for Deion Sanders. I think he's flipped the game on its head. But I don't think there's anything wrong with any coach saying they're after clicks, we're after wins. Because honestly, when you got The Rock and you got all those celebrities on your sideline, please, you are in some extent. I think you put it in a box. I think Deion is about winning, but we know the hype train. And people after a while get sick of the hype train and they put it down. And it doesn't mean you're against black coaches or anything like that. It was kind of a funny little tit for tat that went on between former college quarterback Danny Cannell and former Heisman winner RG3, who's really fitting into that ESPN soft male presence that they seem to love over there. All right, week 3, we saw the 49ers. They beat they beat Giants 30-12. Colts Ravens, Colts 22-19. Matt Gay, that guy scored me 24 points on my fantasy team. But I don't care who's out for the Ravens. You can't lose to the Colts at home if you're called a Super Bowl contender. Not when you've got the ultimate weapon, as we're told. Lamar Jackson rushed for 100 yards, but it didn't change anything. Hey, Colin Cowherd is the one that says great quarterbacks find a way to win. So have a lot of people. I keep hearing Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. You should have beat the Colts. It was 22-19, and I don't want to hear about a non-call. By the way, for the Colts, Anthony Richardson, 3 weeks into his NFL career, 2 games, 2 starts, 0 games finished. Just saying. Maybe you need to think twice about just, hey, let's let our quarterback run. Browns-Titans, Browns won 27-3. Titans are as unwatchable as the Patriots. There's just nothing I want to see. Titans really bore me. Myles Garrett had 3.5 sacks. Deshaun Watson looked a lot different this Sunday than he did last Monday, and he's making Amari Cooper great again. So good for the Browns. Falcons-Lions, Lions 20-6. Hey, man, you drafted one draft. You got Jamar Gibbs. You got Sam Laporta, and that means you got Brad Holmes as a GM. Detroit did what it needed to do. And can we just slow the roll a little bit on Bijan Robinson, or can we talk about the potential of this Lions defense? I'm going to treat the Seattle game as an aberration. You know, they had 7 sacks yesterday. 6 different players had sacks. Aiden Hutchinson had 2. I like the Lions. I think it's Thursday, right? Is it Thursday? You got the Lions and Packers. That should be an interesting Thursday night game. Saints-Packers. Packers won 18-17. Hey, I heard great quarterbacks find a way to win. No Aaron Jones, no Christian Watson, no David Bakhtiari, no Zaire Alexander on defense, and Jordan Love found a way to win. Time to give some love to Jordan Love and to a solid defense. 18 fourth quarter points. The news is that Derek Carr's shoulder the sprain was there. It's not too severe. I guess they're going to evaluate. If it's Jameis Winston, that's okay. I was thinking Brian Hoyer might be the backup. No, he's with the Raiders. Texans, Jaguars, Texans 37-17. I can't even get my mind around the Jaguars losing this game at home. I think there just needs to be a water cooler that's smashed. Some stuff that just needs to be knocked around. Maybe somebody needs to be cut or traded, but somewhere Doug Peterson has to wake up this Jaguar team. They're too good to be losing at home to the Texans. I like the Texans better than most people did going into the season. I think they put a lot of experienced people in and around CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud, the guy I didn't like for most of his college career at Ohio State until that playoff game last year, he is showing out well. And also showing out well is that Tank Dell guy from Houston. Tank Dell and Clayton Tune, right? You would hear those names talked about that were on many of the Rams draft boards, but Dell was really small, and everyone was saying, after drafting Tutu Atwell, the Rams aren't going to draft another small guy. Well, Tank Dell caught 5 passes for 145 yards yesterday and a touchdown from C.J. Stroud in helping secure that Texan win. So good for the Texans, good for DeMeco Ryans. They are a team that, wow, you think about that. What could happen if the Jaguars turn into fool's gold? Dolphins, Broncos, I talked about that. Maybe the Dolphins are the greatest show on turf. I'll wait until Buffalo decides that for me, and when they play Buffalo. And then Mike McDaniel, right? He's the new Sid Coryell or Don Gilman. There we go. I'm being cute. There we go. Chargers, Bolts, we talked about that. Bad. Patriots, Jets. Wow. Jets need a quarterback. We know. I'm not slamming Zach Wilson, but he's not ready for this stage. And the Patriots just need a new HC. They are just boring. They are just boring. They are brutal to watch. And again, it's about where you spend your money. And honestly, a Randall Cobb from 2017 or 2018 would have probably caught that pass in the end zone. A beaten up Randall Cobb in 2023 couldn't catch that deflection. They were literally a cubit span away from stealing that game. So the Patriots aren't much better. Jets, we know where the Jets are at. Bills, Taxkins. Bills beat the Taxkins 37-3. Rumors of the Buffalo demise have been greatly exaggerated. Happy to see that. Anxious to see them play the Dolphins. And Sam Howell came crashing back to earth faster than David Bowie. Seahawks, Panthers. We talked about that a little bit. The Carolina offense had some life, and that was with Andy Dalton, because I don't think Bryce Young's ready for this stage. Rams win in Seattle, looking better by the week, right? We talked about the Cardinals and Cowboys. Cardinals pull out a 28-16 win. The one thing I just don't want to hear is that the Trayvon Diggs injury left an emotional effect and the team was down because of that. No, DeMar Hamlin dying on the field, that can leave an emotional trace and an emotional effect on a defense and on a team. Trayvon Diggs being injured in practice is just football, and it was something bad. But please, let's not say this affected the team. Let's not take away the Cardinals just literally coming out, exposing the Cowboys and kicking their butt. Dallas needs a better quarterback. The defense is better than it was yesterday. It'll be okay, but they need to cinch up that defensive line. The offense is just not that great. The offense. I think CeeDee Lamb makes some splash plays, but he's last in line for those wearing number 88. I tell you what, I'll put CeeDee Lamb ahead of Ron Sellers wearing number 88, but CeeDee Lamb is still behind Drew Pearson. He's going to be behind Michael Irvin, and he's going to be behind Des Bryant. I'm just not wowed by CeeDee Lamb. I think he makes a great catch every once in a while, but those other guys, you hated them. You just hated them because they were so good. Well, and they also pushed off a lot. Chiefs, Bears, I talked about this. Chiefs are cruising for a bruising. Get Taylor Swift out of the commentary about the team. Every time you hear about the team now, it's Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Kelsey's doing, kind of questionable commercials. I think there's just a lot of stuff there, and they're playing into the third and fourth quarter against the Bears. I just think, they're in trouble. Chicago itself, they're dead and buried. Caleb Williams might think, do I want to go to Chicago? And I don't even know if I want to go to Chicago. I just don't know if I'd want to go to Chicago, because right now it looks like Matt Eberflus, will he last the season? They've lost 13 straight games. They lost 10 games to end last year in a row, and they've lost 3 in a row this year. Steelers, Pittsburgh, talked about it. Good win for the Steelers, but they have not impressed. Great defense, but the offense is no bueno. They beat a bad Deshaun Watson last week and an average Jimmy G. And we talked about all the questions of Brandon Staley being a much worse call than McDaniel's call to go for the field goal yesterday. I think the Raiders are who they are. They're not a threat to anybody. And I just hope Jimmy G stays healthy because I couldn't bear to watch another game with Brian Hoyer in the NFL. Tonight, Buccaneers playing Philly. I'm kind of rooting for Tampa, but if Philly's going to fall, and I think they've been cruising for a bruise, and they have yet to put together a decent game, I want them to fall in SoFi. And, of course, I've taken the Rams over the Bengals. I shared this on Friday. I am really going a little fanboy right now. Rams 38, Bengals 21. I'm happy to say first week I was 9-7 in my picks. Last week I was 10-6. As it stands right now, I'm 9-5. If my picks come through today, I will be 11-5. Okay. Everything hinges on Joe Burrow. And even if he plays, it's doubtful he's going to be sharp. So look for a lot of Joe mixing up the gut. There's nothing scary about the Cincy defense, except you just have to respect them. The Rams should be, if they're executing well, they should be able to run and pass. Burrow makes the Cincy defense competent. It only has to be competent when Burrow is playing. Without Burrow, it almost needs to be perfect. But you never know. Rams have been burned by a no-name backup quarterback before. Again, Rams 38, Bengals 21. All right, let's wrap this show up real quick here. I thank you for those that are clicking on and watching. Born on this date in 1916. Say what? Yeah, 1916 was the original version of Cooper Kupp for the Rams. His name was Jim Benton. The Rams drafted him in the second round, 11th overall. The league was much smaller then, in 1938 out of Arkansas. Now, you're in Cleveland and you draft a guy from Arkansas. So they found this guy. He ended up playing 10 years in the NFL, 8 with the Rams, 1 with the Bears, and 1 year he set out to coach high school football. But he's a 6'3", 200-pound receiver. He caught 228 passes and 45 touchdowns in his career. He was all-pro in 1945 and 46. And his 1945 season, he caught 45 passes, 1,067 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a whopping 23.7 yards per catch, as Bob Waterfield made him a key target on that Rams championship team. In fact, in that 1945 title game, he caught 9 passes for 125 yards, including a 37-yard touchdown pass from Bob Waterfield in the first half to give the Rams a lead they never relinquished. In 1943, the Rams did not play. He was loaned to the Bears that year. He didn't go to the military because he was rejected because of a heart murmur. He was loaned to the Bears that year, and he was on the Bears championship team in 1943. His most notable game was in 1945 on Thanksgiving Day against the Detroit Lions. He caught 10 Bob Waterfield passes for 303 yards to help the Rams secure the division title on November 22nd, 1945. And just for correlation there, Flipper Anderson's game in New Orleans in November of 1989 was 15 catches, 336 yards, and a touchdown. Jim Benton passed away in 2001 at the age of 84. Born on this day in 1942, Harry Shue in 1991. Alec Ogletree is 32 today, and former Ram who played with the Cowboys yesterday, Brandon Cooks, turns 30 today. Brandon Cooks, first-round pick, 20th overall in 2014 out of Oregon State, played for the Saints, the Patriots, the Rams, and the Texans, and now the Cowboys, 5 teams. On this day in 1990, the Rams waived a kicker named John Carney. John Carney would go on to kick 11 years for the Chargers and kick in the NFL for 22 years. On this day in Ram history, as far as games played, on September 25th, the Rams have played 9 games in the Super Bowl era from 1966 forward. The Rams are 6-3, so that's optimistic going into tonight's game. They lost to Green Bay in 66, 24-13. They beat the Eagles 20-0. Joe Namath at quarterback, and in 1983, they lost to the Jets and Shea. Today is the anniversary of the Gastineau-Slater fight. That was a great game. That was on a Sunday. I remember seeing that. 1988, they won in New York, 45-31. In 1994, with a really cruddy team, they went into Kansas City and won 16-0. Joe Montana was the quarterback that day. He threw 3 picks. 2005, they beat the Titans 31-27 because Jeff Fisher was the head coach of the Titans. And then on this day in 2011, they lost to Baltimore 37-7. That's when Torrey Smith just smoked them deep 3 times for touchdowns. In 2016, they won in Tampa 37-32. I think that was the lightning delayed game. And then just 1 year ago today, the Rams won in Arizona in 2022. They won 20-12. Aaron Donald collected his 100th sack of his NFL career. There we go. Trivia question that I'll ask you, Kistler Law trivia question that I'll answer tomorrow. Who did Joe Namath throw his last NFL touchdown pass to? There you go. You can answer that, put it in the box, put that in the box, or send it to me privately. I'm going to post it on ramsrule.com. Who did Joe Namath throw his last NFL touchdown pass to? Okay, folks, thank you so much. And I'm sorry. People have clicked on, those that are going to be on audio later on Spotify. I had some friends click on the F word is Fisher. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I said he who must not be named. Yeah, Sorge, I'm all with you. I'd love to see the Rams win tonight, but you have to know at the beginning of the season, back in the spring, I predicted the Rams would be 0-3. I didn't think they have a shot, but I'm upset a little bit that now I got to get upset about tonight's game. So when I watch tonight's game, I get nervous when I watch the Rams play. I don't sit down. And if there's anything in the Ram cave that I'm eating, my friends bring over cupcakes and things I never eat unless I'm worried about the Rams. And so, yes, I will be pacing the floor tonight, hoping the Rams can steal. Could you imagine the Rams going 2-1 in the first 3 games of this season? Hey, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for clicking on. We will be back live tomorrow to talk about this Ram game. If you have any questions, shoot them to me. Thank you for your clicks, for your support, for your comments, for your likes, for your shares. Check us out on Spotify. Go have a great day, and we'll see this Ram game tonight. God bless. Take care.